What's up, guys? It's Jadie, and I'm here with my very first video, and I'm going to be showing you guys how I get my everyday makeup routine. I hope y'all enjoy. So to begin, we're going to prep the skin with some Fix Plus setting spray. I love this stuff so much. And then I'm going to go in with a lip sleeping mask just to prep the lips before we get to the lip portion of the video. After that, we're going to go ahead and moisturize the skin using my Neutrogena Hydro Boost Water Gel. This is great for anyone who has combination or oily skin since it's not a thick, heavy cream and it's not going to overly hydrate the skin. And please, before you touch your face or someone else's, if you're a makeup artist, wash your hands, girl. So we're going to get started with the eyebrows first. I'm using my BH brow palette. Unfortunately, I want to say she was discontinued and I've been looking everywhere for one. If any of you know where I can get my hands on this palette, please let me know. So first things first, you want to brush the brow hairs upwards, and we're going to start by tracing the bottom of the brow first. Then we're going to brush the hairs downwards, and we're going to then trace the top portion of the brow and then connect at the tail using soft, short motions. You don't want to go crazy and just trace all at once. You want to take your time with your brows and make sure you're brushing in between to just further distribute and diffuse that product. Once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and clean up my brows. I like to use concealer and foundation for this. I use my e.l.f. concealer on the bottom of the brow simply because I use that same concealer as an eyeshadow base. So, might as well. And then I go ahead and drag that concealer all the way down to my lid and then blend it out using my finger. I like to use my finger because it keeps the coverage and the warmth of my finger allows it to just melt into the skin a lot easier. Then I'm going to go ahead and use my foundation to clean up the top portion of the brow. For me personally, I do have some texture on my brow, on the top part of my brows for whatever reason, so I can't use my e.l.f. concealer. She's a little too dry and matte for that, so I just use my foundation. But to each their own, you can use concealer as well. Giving it a finger blend once again. And we got brows, honey. All right, now we're gonna move on to the skin, and I'm gonna use the Tatcha Silk Canvas Primer. And I'm gonna focus this in the areas where I need it the most, which is my cheeks and my nose area. I do have bigger pores in that area, and then I'm gonna go ahead and just diffuse whatever's left of the product to the outer perimeter of the face. I think primers are extremely important. They create a barrier between your skin and the makeup, so your skin your pores aren't clogged essentially, and also it just allows everything to lay a lot smoother as well. Then I'm going to go ahead and put on my foundations. I like to mix foundations. I'm using the Lancome Tintadol and my NARS Longwear foundation just because I like to get my perfect match. One's a little too dark, one's a little too light, so I just mix them, and I really like the finish as well. It's like a nice satin finish. Before I apply it with a brush, I do spray the face one more time with Fix Plus just to hydrate her one more time. I then distribute the product all over, and then I use my Real Technique sponge to blend that out. I feel as if using a brush first gives me the coverage I want, and then using the sponge allows me to get the finish I want, and it also helps to remove any excess product I may not need on the skin. I always tell my clients it's best to start with small amounts of makeup and then add as you go if you need it, rather than just throwing on a whole bunch of foundation, just because it's easy to build but it's very hard to remove once it's already on there. You have to start literally all over again. Now we're going to go ahead and cream contour. Honestly, you can use whatever you would like. I'm using this MAC Quick Trick Stick. It's been discontinued, but I would say it's comparable to the Fenty Matchsticks. And then I like to use a small fluffy brush to blend her out, so that way I have control of where the product is going and I get that nice sharp contour that I'm looking for. I also like to smile because when you smile, your cheekbones naturally give you a nice guideline for your contour. After that, with what's left on the brush, I'm going to go ahead and take it on the sides of the nose. I don't really contour my nose drastically. It's just to add warmth to the face, so that way I have warmth all throughout and it's not just on the outsides. Now I'm going to go ahead and conceal and highlight with my favorite e.l.f. concealer. I don't take it underneath the lash line. I take it a little bit below, simply because I don't want it to get too cakey and heavy under there, especially with a concealer this thick. Then a little bit on my chin and nose. I start with those first so that I allow the concealer underneath my eyes to sit for a moment. And then I continue to blend. And as you can see, that Fix Plus keeps making an appearance. I just love rehydrating my sponge and my brushes. I feel like it makes everything just look so flawless in the end of it. And when you're blending out your concealer under your eye, make sure you're keeping it in that same upside down triangle type of shape, so that way you're not covering up all that contour that we created earlier. And if so, you can always take that brush one more time and just bring it back to life. Once I've done with everything, I go ahead and take my sponge one more time, blend everything right before setting it. I'm using my Maybelline Fit Me powder in Fair. I set the under eye area first just to avoid any creasing, and I do not bake right away. I simply set first, and then once I've set the areas that I've wanted to set, I then go in to bake. I bake on my cheeks, my nose, and in any areas where I get oily. Again, I'm not taking it directly underneath that lash line to avoid any cakiness. And this is the part of the video where it gets a little crazy, y'all. So cringy. I ended up dropping a whole bunch of powder on my black shirt, and it's there for the rest of the video. So please bear with me, y'all. I'm trying to get the hang of this, all right? So while we're baking, I'm going to go ahead and take my bronzer and Give Me Life from the Patrick Star Matte Collection and a fluffy brush, and I'm just going to do a wash of bronzer in the crease of my eye. Sometimes I'll do blush, bronzer. It kind of just depends, but I typically go for bronzer because, again, just to keep everything looking cohesive and in the same color range. Now we're going to go ahead and wipe away our bake. I think I was changing the song or something. Wiping all that away. And now we're going to go ahead and bronze and contour. I'm using that same Give Me Life bronzer and a huge fluffy brush. This is just going to add warmth to the face, not so much contour, just to bring some color back to the face, because when I bake, I do tend to get a little pale. And I'm not perfect with it by any means. Again, this is just for a wash of color throughout the face. When you have a big fluffy brush, think big and fluffy means diffuse, tight and condensed means more defined. So just so that way you guys know what kind of brush you're looking for. Now I'm going to go ahead and use a more dense brush to contour the skin using my Bare Minerals Pro Powder in Almond. It's more cool tone, so it's going to just create that nice chiseled effect that I'm looking for and that definition that I'm looking for. I'm going to go ahead and take what's left on the brush on the sides of the nose as well, underneath the lip, underneath the chin as well, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to blush. I'm using my favorite blush, which is MAC Peaches. And again, if you smile, you're creating a nice guideline for your blush. So I start from the apples of the cheek and then bring it back. And then I also add whatever's left on the brush onto the nose as well, just to add some color. Now that I'm done with all of my powder products, I'm going to set the skin, and I am going to be very generous with this since I did use a lot of powder products. It just gives a really nice skin finish to the makeup look, which I love. And it also helps my highlight come out a little more intense too. So I do set my makeup and then put on highlight. I'm using the MAC Flash in All palette today. She is very loved, as you can see. And I'm just going to hit all the high points that I want to look nice and glowy. And I don't always do my cheeks just because I do have a lot of texture there. It just kind of depends on the day. But eyebrows and inner corner is an absolute must for me. Even on days when I'm barely wearing makeup, I definitely got some highlighter on, best believe. Love an inner corner highlight. It just makes the eyes look more open, more angelic. Super important step in any makeup look. Soft, dramatic, any of that. It makes a huge difference. Now I am going ahead and putting on my clear brow gel now that I'm done with all of my powder products. Girl, she jamming. I think I was jamming to Roddy Ricch. That's my dude, girl. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and do some liner. It was very hard to record this, but I did the best I can. I'm probably going to do a separate video of my brow and wing liner routine, just so that way I can be a little more in depth with it. But I'm using the Brush Black by MAC. Another product that is comparable is the Tattoo Liner by Kat Von D. I start by tracing the lash line, and then I use my bottom lash line as a guide to my wing, and then I fill it in. I'm going to go ahead and pop on some lashes. I do not know the brand of lashes. I get them off AliExpress, but they're super bomb. And lashes are always a must for me. And I am using tweezers to apply them. It just makes it a lot easier, especially with these long nails. And look at that difference, girl. Yes. All right, now I've removed my lip mask, and we're going to go ahead and start with lining the lips. I'm using Oak Liner. It's a nice, soft nude liner. And I do overdraw my lips a little bit. I overdraw the center of my top lip and the center of my bottom lip, just to add some definition, make them look a little bit fuller, especially since I do wear a lot of nude lipsticks. I like for my lips to look a little bit more prominent. Once I've done that, I go ahead and dab on my Shrimpton lipstick from MAC, a fave. I think I popped on like a clear gloss as well to finish it off. And then that's pretty much it, y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next video.